I've been to the moon more times than I can count on both hands, but nothing could have prepared me for what we found during what was supposed to be a routine sensor installation mission. My name is Dr. Michael Anders, and I'm about to tell you about the day humanity's understanding of the universe changed forever. It started like any other lunar expedition. Our team of 4, myself, Dr. Sarah Chen, our geologist, Jack Martinez, our engineer, and Lena Kowalski, our systems specialist, touched down near the moon's south pole. Our primary objective was to install new monitoring sensors, part of NASA's ongoing efforts to prepare for future lunar colonization. As we suited up and stepped onto the familiar grey, dusty surface, I felt the usual sense of awe that comes with being on another celestial body. The Earth hung in the sky, a beautiful blue marble against the stark blackness of space. If only I had known then that it might be the last time I'd see it unthreatened. "All right, team, let's get to work," I said over the comms. "We've got a lot of ground to cover." We began setting up our equipment, the quiet broken only by our breathing and the occasional crackle of radio chatter with mission control back on Earth. Everything was going smoothly until Sarah called out excitedly, "Mike, you need to see this. The ground-penetrating radar is picking up something unusual." I made my way over to her station, the low gravity making each bound feel like floating. "What have you got, Sarah?" She pointed to her display, her gloved finger tracing an anomaly on the screen. "Look at this structure. It's perfectly geometric, buried about 2 kilometers down." I frowned, peering at the readout. "Natural formation?" Sarah shook her head. "Not like any I've ever seen. The edges are too precise, the angles too perfect. This looks manufactured." A chill ran down my spine, despite the temperature-controlled suit. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying we might have just made the discovery of the century," Sarah replied, her voice trembling with excitement and a hint of fear. Little did we know, we had just opened Pandora's box. The next few hours were a blur of activity. We relayed our findings to mission control, and the response was immediate: investigate further. Our routine sensor installation was put on hold as we readied our excavation equipment. As we began to dig, the atmosphere among the team shifted. Excitement mingled with apprehension. We were potentially on the brink of proving that we weren't alone in the universe, but the implications of finding an artificial structure buried on the moon were staggering and, frankly, terrifying. "Approaching the outer layer of the structure," Jack announced as our drill bit deeper into the lunar soil. Suddenly, our equipment began to malfunction. Screens flickered, and our comms crackled with static. "What's going on?" I demanded, trying to keep the panic out of my voice. Lena's fingers flew over her console. "I don't know, Commander. It's like something's interfering with our systems." Before I could respond, a violent tremor shook the ground beneath us. We stumbled, struggling to keep our footing in the low gravity. "Pressure build-up," Sarah yelled. "The structure... it's causing some kind of reaction in the surrounding rock." With a deafening roar, the ground in front of us exploded outward. We were thrown back, tumbling across the lunar surface. As the dust settled, I looked up to see a gaping maw in the moon's surface, leading down into darkness. "Is everyone all right?" I called out, my heart pounding. One by one, my team responded. We were shaken but unharmed. As we regrouped, we stared into the abyss that had opened before us. "Mission Control, do you copy?" I tried to reach Earth, but all I got was static. "Damn it, comms are down!" We exchanged glances, the weight of the decision before us hanging in the air. Protocol dictated that we should wait for instructions, but with no way to contact Earth and a potentially world-changing discovery at our fingertips, I knew what we had to do. "We're going in," I said, my voice steady despite the fear gnawing at my insides. "Buddy system. Lena, you're with me. Jack, stick with Sarah. Keep your comms open and stay alert." As we activated our suit lights and began our descent into the structure, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The darkness seemed to press in around us, our lights barely penetrating the gloom. The walls were smooth, almost polished, covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and move in the corner of my eye. "This technology," Lena whispered, her voice filled with awe, "it's like nothing I've ever seen." We moved deeper into the structure, our footsteps echoing ominously. The air grew thick with tension as we realized the magnitude of what we were doing. We were the first humans to step foot in an alien construct, and with each step, we were moving further from the safety of the familiar and into a realm of unknown dangers. As we reached what appeared to be a central chamber, our lights fell upon a sight that made my blood run cold. In the center of the room stood a massive, pulsating orb, its surface rippling with otherworldly energy. "My God," Sarah breathed. "It's alive." And as if in response to her words, the orb began to glow brighter, tendrils of energy reaching out towards us. In that moment, I realized we had awakened something ancient and powerful, something that had been waiting for eons to be discovered. Our mission had just become a fight for survival, not just for us, but possibly for all of humanity. The moment our lights touched the pulsating orb, everything changed. The air around us seemed to crackle with electricity, and a low hum filled our ears, penetrating even the thick material of our helmets. "Don't touch anything," I ordered, but it was too late. Jack, always the curious engineer, had already reached out towards a panel on the wall. As his gloved hand made contact, the entire chamber sprang to life. Lights flickered on, illuminating the vast space in an eerie, bluish glow. Symbols and patterns on the walls began to move and shift, as if they were made of living mercury. "Jack, what did you do?" I demanded, my voice tight with fear and anger. He turned to me, his eyes wide behind his visor. I didn't mean to, it called to me somehow." Before I could respond, a series of sharp, staccato beeps filled our comms. Lena gasped, her hands flying to her equipment. "Commander, you need to see this," she said, her voice trembling. "The structure, it's sending out a signal, and it's not just here on the moon. I'm picking up responses from all over the solar system." My mind reeled at the implications. "Are you saying there are more of these things out there?" Lena nodded grimly. "It looks like it. And whatever this is, it's waking them all up." As if to confirm her words, the orb in the center of the room began to pulse more rapidly, its glow intensifying. Tendrils of energy snaked out from it, probing the air around us. Sarah, who had been scanning the walls with her geological equipment, suddenly let out a strangled cry. "Guys, these readings, this structure, it's not just a building, it's some kind of biomechanical entity, and I think we just woke it up from a very long sleep." The realization hit me like a physical blow. We weren't just in an alien structure, we were inside a living thing. A thing that was now awake and aware of our presence. As if in response to our growing panic, the chamber began to change. Walls shifted, openings sealed themselves, and new passages appeared. It was as if the entire structure was rearranging itself around us. "We need to get out of here," I said, fighting to keep my voice calm. "Now." But as we turned to leave, we found our exit blocked by a newly formed wall. We were trapped, cut off from the surface and any hope of escape. "Commander," Jack's voice came over the comms, filled with dread. "I think I've made a terrible mistake." I wanted to reassure him, to tell him it wasn't his fault, but I couldn't find the words, because deep down I knew he was right. We had stumbled into something far beyond our understanding, and now we were at its mercy. The orb's pulsing grew more intense, and suddenly I felt a presence in my mind. Alien thoughts, incomprehensible and vast, began to seep into my consciousness. I could see from the expressions of my teammates that they were experiencing the same thing. We had come to the moon looking for scientific discoveries. Instead, we had awakened an ancient guardian, a system designed to protect against threats we couldn't even imagine. And now, that system had turned its attention to Earth. As the alien presence grew stronger in my mind, I realized with horror that our mission might have just sealed the fate of humanity. We had unknowingly triggered a cosmic defense mechanism, and Earth was about to face the consequences of our discovery. Time seemed to lose all meaning as we stood there, our minds overwhelmed by the alien presence. Images flashed before my eyes, distant worlds, incomprehensible technologies, and terrifying creatures that defied description. It was as if the entire history of an ancient, long-gone civilization was being downloaded directly into our brains. Lena was the first to snap out of it. "Commander," she shouted, shaking me by the shoulders, "we need to focus." I blinked, forcing myself back to reality. "Right," I said, my voice hoarse. "Status report." "Oh, now," Sarah spoke up, her face pale beneath her visor. "The structure, it's not just sending signals, it's receiving them too, from Earth." A cold dread settled in the pit of my stomach. "What kind of signals?" "All kinds," Lena chimed in, her eyes glued to her instruments. "Radio, television, internet traffic. It's like it's downloading the sum total of human knowledge." Jack, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, suddenly spoke up. "Guys, I think I understand what this place is. It's some kind of test." We all turned to look at him. "What do you mean, a test?" I asked. He gestured around us. "Think about it. This technology. It's way beyond anything we could comprehend, but it's been here, dormant, waiting. I think it was left here to judge us." "Judge us," Sarah repeated, her voice incredulous. Jack nodded grimly. "To determine if we're a threat, and by waking it up, by showing it our technology, our wars, our entire history, we might have just failed that test." The implications of his words hit us all like a physical blow. If he was right, we had just inadvertently put the entire human race on trial. Suddenly, the orb in the center of the room pulsed brightly, and a holographic display sprang to life around us. It showed our solar system, with Earth at the center. As we watched, points of light began to appear all over the map. On Mars, on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, in the asteroid belt, even in the Kuiper belt beyond Neptune. "Oh God," Lena whispered, "those must be the other structures, the ones that are waking up." I watched in horror as lines of energy began to connect the points, forming a vast, three-dimensional web with Earth at its center. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, a cosmic trap that humanity had unwittingly sprung. "We need to shut this down," I said, desperation creeping into my voice. "There has to be a way to stop this." But even as I spoke, I knew it was hopeless. We were so far out of our depth, trying to understand and control technology that was millennia beyond our comprehension. Suddenly, the hologram zoomed in on Earth. We could see satellites in orbit, and to our horror, they began to change. Dormant systems, hidden for who knows how long, came to life. Earth's own satellites were being turned against us. "It's not just judging us," Sarah said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's preparing to eliminate us." The realization hit me like a physical blow. We had come to the moon to expand human knowledge, to take the next step in our journey to the stars. Instead, we might have just triggered the end of our species. As the alien presence in my mind grew stronger, I could feel its cold, implacable judgment. To this ancient system, we were nothing more than a potential threat to be neutralized. Our achievements, our hopes, our dreams, none of it mattered in the face of this cosmic jury. "We need to warn Earth," I said, knowing even as I spoke that it was probably futile. Our communications were still down, and even if we could get a message through, what could we possibly say? How could we explain a threat we barely understood ourselves? As if in response to my thoughts, the chamber around us began to shift again. Walls moved, passages opened and closed. It was as if the structure was alive, adapting to contain us. "It knows what we're thinking," Lena said, her voice filled with awe and terror. "It's in our heads, reading our thoughts, our memories." I looked at my team, saw the fear and determination in their eyes. We were trapped, millions of miles from home, inside an alien construct that saw us as a threat. And worst of all, we had no idea how to stop what we had set in motion. As the hologram continued to show the awakening of the cosmic defense network, I couldn't help but wonder, was this how humanity's story was destined to end? Not with a bang, but with the quiet beep of an alien system determining we were unworthy of existence? I clenched my fists, determination surging through me. No, I wouldn't accept that. Somehow, someway, we had to find a way to communicate with this ancient system to prove that humanity deserved a chance. The alternative was unthinkable, but as the alien presence in my mind grew stronger, I realized that our greatest challenge was yet to come. We weren't just fighting for our lives anymore, we were fighting for the very soul of humanity. The next few hours, or was it days, time had become meaningless in this alien environment, were a blur of desperate attempts to understand and communicate with the system we had awakened. We pored over the shifting symbols on the walls, tried to interface with the pulsating orb, even attempted to use our own thoughts to send messages through the strange, psychic link we seemed to share with the structure. All the while, the holographic display continued to show the awakening of the cosmic defense network. More and more points of light appeared throughout the solar system, each one representing another dormant outpost springing to life. Earth, at the center of it all, was now surrounded by a web of energy, like a fly trapped in a spider's web. "It's like the whole solar system is turning against us," Sarah murmured, her voice filled with awe and dread. I nodded grimly. "And we're the ones who triggered it." As we worked, the alien presence in our minds grew stronger. It was as if the structure was studying us, probing our thoughts and memories. At times, it was almost overwhelming, floods of alien concepts and images threatening to drown out our own consciousness. It was during one of these mental barrages that I had an epiphany. "Guys," I said, my voice hoarse from lack of use, "I think I understand what this system is looking for." My team gathered around me, their faces haggard but attentive. "What is it?" "Commander," Lena asked. I took a deep breath. "It's not just looking at our technology or our history, it's judging our potential, our capacity for growth, for change." Jack nodded slowly. "That makes sense. A system this advanced, it wouldn't just care about our current level of development, it would want to know what we might become." "Exactly," I said. "And that means we have a chance, if we can show it the best of humanity, our creativity, our resilience, our capacity for compassion and growth. Maybe we can convince it that we're worth preserving." Sarah looked skeptical. "But how? We're trapped in here, cut off from Earth. How can we possibly showcase all of humanity's potential?" I gestured to our surroundings. "We're in direct mental contact with this system. It's been reading our thoughts, our memories. We need to use that connection. Each of us needs to focus on the best of what humanity has to offer. Our greatest achievements, our noblest ideals." Lena nodded slowly. "Like a mental highlight reel of human history." "Exactly," I said. "Art, music, scientific discoveries, acts of heroism and kindness. We need to show this system that despite our flaws, we have the potential for greatness." We gathered in a circle around the pulsating orb, joining hands despite the bulkiness of our spacesuits. As one, we closed our eyes and began to concentrate. I focused on the triumph of the moon landing, the wonder of a child's first steps, the breathtaking beauty of Earth seen from space. Images flowed from my mind, doctors working tirelessly to save lives, scientists making breakthrough discoveries, ordinary people performing extraordinary acts of kindness. I could feel the others doing the same. Through our shared connection with the alien system, I caught glimpses of their chosen memories. Jack recalled the unified global response to natural disasters, the way humanity came together in times of crisis. Sarah focused on our enduring quest for knowledge, from the first cave paintings to the Hubble Space Telescope. Lena showcased our creativity, filling her thoughts with symphonies, novels, and works of art that spoke to the human condition. As we projected these thoughts, the alien presence in our minds shifted. The cold, analytical probe became something else, curious, almost wondering. The orb's pulsing changed rhythm, and the holographic display flickered and reformed. Suddenly, a new image appeared. It showed Earth, but not as it was now. Instead, we saw a vision of what could be, a future where humanity had overcome its challenges, where we had become stewards of our planet and had begun to reach out to the stars with wisdom and responsibility. "It's showing us hope," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with awe. The alien presence in our minds coalesced into a clear thought, the first direct communication we had received, potential recognized, trial extended. Relief washed over me. So intense, it was almost painful. We had done it. We had bought humanity a chance, but our relief was short-lived. The thought continued. Final judgment pending. Observers required. The implication hit us all at once. We exchanged glances, the same realization dawning in each of our eyes. "We're the observers," Jack said, his voice a mix of fear and resignation. "It wants us to stay here, to continue proving humanity's worth." I nodded slowly, the weight of our new responsibility settling on my shoulders. We came here to install sensors, to gather data for future lunar missions. Instead, we've become the sensors, the data gatherers for a cosmic trial that will determine the fate of our entire species. As the reality of our situation sank in, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Fear, certainly. The thought of being trapped here, so far from home, was terrifying. But there was also a sense of purpose, of profound importance. We had been given a chance to be humanity's advocates in a trial we never knew we were facing. The chamber around us began to shift once more, transforming into what seemed to be a long-term living space. Sleeping quarters appeared, along with what looked like food synthesizers and other life support systems. "I guess this is home now," Lena said, her voice trembling slightly. I looked at each member of my team in turn, seeing the same mix of fear and determination in their eyes that I felt in my own heart. "We knew when we signed up for this mission that we might be making history," I said. "We just never imagined it would be like this." As we began to explore our new living quarters, the alien presence in our minds faded to a background hum, ever present, but no longer overwhelming. The holographic display continued to show Earth, surrounded by the web of awakened structures, a constant reminder of what was at stake. We had bought humanity time, but the real trial was just beginning. From our lonely outpost on the moon, we would have to continue to prove that our species deserved its place in the cosmos. Every thought, every action would be scrutinized by an intelligence beyond our comprehension. As I looked out at the stark lunar landscape, Earth hanging in the black sky above, I made a silent vow. Whatever it took, however long it took, we would show this cosmic jury the true potential of humanity. The fate of our entire species now rested in our hands. The greatest mission in human history had begun, and failure was not an option. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Our tiny crew, once tasked with a simple sensor installation, had become humanity's unwitting ambassadors to a cosmic intelligence beyond our comprehension. Every day brought new challenges, new opportunities to showcase the best of what humanity had to offer. We fell into a routine of sorts. Each morning, if you could call it morning in the unchanging lunar environment, we would gather around the central orb. We'd share our thoughts, our memories, our hopes and dreams for humanity's future. It was like a daily pitch to an alien jury, pleading our case for our species' continued existence. But it wasn't just about presenting humanity's highlight reel. The system seemed interested in how we handled challenges, how we solved problems. So we worked. We conducted experiments with the alien technology around us, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. We wrote poetry, composed music, created art with the limited resources at our disposal. We debated philosophy, ethics, the nature of existence itself. All the while, the holographic display continued to show Earth, surrounded by the web of awakened structures. Sometimes, we'd see flashes of activity, satellites being repurposed, probes being redirected. It was a constant reminder of the sword hanging over humanity's head. Communication with Earth remained impossible. Whatever signal the structure was broadcasting seemed to jam all our attempts to reach home. We could only hope that NASA, that all of humanity, was working to understand what was happening, to prove themselves worthy in their own way. As time passed, we began to notice changes in ourselves. The constant mental link with the alien intelligence was affecting us in ways we couldn't fully understand. We found ourselves able to communicate without words, to share thoughts and feelings with a mere glance. Our dreams were filled with visions of distant worlds, of civilizations rise and fall across the cosmos. One day, or night, it was hard to tell anymore, I found Sarah staring at the holographic display, tears streaming down her face. "What's wrong?" I asked, putting a hand on her shoulder. She pointed to the image of Earth. "Look closely," she said. I peered at the hologram, and suddenly I saw it. The web of energy surrounding Earth had changed. It was no longer a trap, a threat. Instead, it looked more like a protective shield. "It's changing its mind," Sarah whispered. "Slowly, but surely. We're doing it, Mike. We're showing it that we're worth saving." Hope surged through me, but I tempered it with caution. We'd learned that this cosmic trial was not a simple pass-fail test. It was an ongoing evaluation, and one misstep could undo all our progress. As if to confirm my thoughts, the alien presence in our minds surged forward with a new message. "Progress noted. Final trial commences." The chamber around us began to shift and change once more. The comfortable living quarters disappeared, replaced by a stark, utilitarian space. The orb at the center pulsed with newfound intensity. "What's happening?" Jack asked, his voice tight with fear. Before I could answer, the holographic display changed. Instead of Earth, we now saw a vast star field. One star pulsed red, a clear warning. The alien thought came again. "Threat detected. Solar system at risk. Defenders must act." With a jolt of realization, I understood. This was the final test. The system wasn't just judging our potential, it was judging our willingness to use that potential for the greater good. We were being asked to step up, to become the defenders we had awakened. I looked at my team, saw the same understanding dawn in their eyes. We had come to the moon as explorers, as scientists. Now we were being asked to become something more, guardians of not just humanity, but of our entire solar system. As the alien technology around us hummed to life, offering capabilities we could scarcely imagine, I felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. This was it, the moment that would decide not just our fate, but the fate of every living being in our solar system. "Well," I said, my voice steady despite the fear churning in my gut, "I guess we always wanted to make first contact. We just never imagined we'd be the ones making it on behalf of the aliens." My team nodded, their faces a mix of determination and fear. As one Jew, we turned to face the holographic display, ready to face whatever threat the cosmos had in store for us. The final trial had begun, and with it, a new chapter in human history, one that would be written in the stars themselves.